I was given this roll of film here by a good friend of mine, John Mock Film. It doesn't expire until January of this upcoming year, but I wanted to shoot with it before it expired because I recently shot a roll of Tri-X and I did really enjoy that experience. And I thought, what better way to test out this camera than with a roll of free film? So shout outs to you, John. Check out his channel as well. But this camera is the Contax RTS, just the RTS. There's the RTS2 and I believe even an RTS3. This is just the standard beginner RTS. And I was looking into it a little bit for this video and for future videos I want to make about it. And what's interesting to me is that Contax is one of like the original, first of all, I love how this gets stored there. It is one of the original camera companies. They produce cameras since pretty much the dawn of time. And yet they took a very long leave of absence and from when they were making cameras to when they weren't. And this was kind of the resurrection camera that was released in about 1974. And from that, they really revolutionized the brand. I believe that they, at this stage, kind of worked with Yashica to make the Contax Yashica lens mount here and just kind of revitalized the brand. The other thing that the Wikipedia article I read said was that they started using all caps, which I feel like adds a lot of presence. And this camera itself, just as it exists, has quite a bit of that presence. It's very big, it's very boisterous, it's very enlarged in all the ways, and yet it still feels like a very quality item. It doesn't feel large for the sake of feeling large. It feels like it has purpose in its dimensions, which is something I think I kind of enjoy. Another thing to note about this specific camera was it was in part designed by the people that were behind Porsches at the time, and those are some really fantastic looking cars. One could argue that they picked what the 911 was going to look like and then didn't really move on from that design, but it might be because they were pretty busy designing this to look like a really quality camera. And I do, like I said, I think it delivers on that. There are a few interesting choices, such as the shutter speed dial sitting over here. You have exposure compensation in your ASA selection over here, which is a little bit strange, but I guess if you think about it, you're shooting over here, adjusting your shutter speeds here. It kind of makes sense, but again, it's a very interesting design choice. Overall, this camera's pretty cool. I'm excited to shoot with it using this roll of Tri-X here and make a little video about it. So enjoy. Really good day to wear shorts too. It's very not warm. I'm gonna try to walk away a little bit from other people. You can see my breath, that's always fun. I'm still kind of getting the feel for Tri-X. It's one of those films that I've not shot with a whole lot, but I really do enjoy the idea of it. And today just kind of felt like a black and white day, is what I would say. But I honestly loaded this film camera up a very long time ago, so just kind of forced into this decision. But the RTS is really fascinating to me because it's one of those cameras that has, kind of similar to an Olympus, like the OM series, it has a style pretty much uniquely its own. You don't see many other cameras that have the shutter speed dial behind the lens mount, and you don't see many other cameras with the aperture or the ASA selection being kind of a primary focus as it is on the RTS. There are also a lot of very minor highlights if you want to get into the real boring, nerdy, technical stuff. The camera has all sorts of neat features. Unique shutter system, unique advanced system, unique metering system, yada yada. But ultimately, that's horrifying. Let's see if I can get some kind of freaky. Ugh. Ew, dude. But in spite of all that, it feels like a really easy camera to use with a lot more to it than just it being an easy camera. Now, I don't have a lens on here that I think benefits itself. There's a squirrel over there. The lens is a simple, what is this? Solagore 28 to 80, really in high demand there. But I think it should be fine. I honestly don't shoot zooms all that much, but the Contax Yashica mount 50 that I had, I ended up selling with the S2 a few months ago. So no longer in possession of that, which is probably for the better. But yeah, 28 to 80 should be fun for a day like this, especially because this is a park that I've kind of photographed a few times. So it'll be nice to get, I guess, a different perspective than the standard 50. Kind of like the way that van is framed, but can't think of a single interesting way to take that photo, nor do I think it's worth taking a photo of. But anyway, going back to the matter at hand, which is this camera. It was designed by Contax, obviously. They kind of, so far as I understand, they joined forces with Yashica in that early 70s period, and then from there linked up with a Porsche designer to make this camera. And you can kind of see that in some ways. It has some of like the similar qualities to a Porsche, I suppose, in the sense that it's simple. But my main thought and curiosity would be, ultimately, whose decision was it to put the ASA where it is? Because that's one of the most unique, in my mind, factors of this system. I don't know. There's just something about it. It does make a bit of sense, though, because it leaves your left thumb open to selecting a different shutter speed very easily. So there's some sort of functionality and sense to that, but who's to say? There is a little bit of weight to this camera, as I mentioned, but it's really not as significant as you would think, given the bold blockiness of the look. Take some photos up here. It's weird, there's a lot of people, so I'm gonna stop talking. Shit out here. I think I missed it. There's a really cool cloud right above hood there. I only have an 80 on here. I might be able to snag a couple of those. just to see where we're at. Oh, it's like a Borzoid or something. I don't know. The Mount Hood looks cool though. I think that was St. Helens over there. Its top blasted off. Mount Hood apparently has received quite a bit of snow as of late. The way that the light comes in through the trees, I'm very curious to see how this picks up, what it prioritizes and whatnot. I really want to see if I can pet this dog. How's it going? What kind of dog is that?
He's a Borzoid.
That's right, okay. My buddy had like 3 of them, and
really?
just so much dog hair everywhere. I couldn't remember the name of them. They're beautiful dogs, though. Well, let's see. Gotta be honest, there's not really much up here to take photos of, as I've noticed. So now it just kind of becomes a issue of how long am I gonna continue on talking to myself before I recognize the fact that there's a lot of other shit I need to do with my day. Break my fucking leg walking through here. That looks nice. But, you know, you gotta quickly snap these photos. And it's hard to do, especially when you're shooting with a 80 millimeter, because you wanna make sure you get sharp focus, otherwise the whole point is completely moot. And this is one of those things that would look cool, I just don't know. The light's kind of shit, and I wouldn't even know how to frame it properly. So I guess it's just a cool thing that we'll have to enjoy together. I'm such an inept photographer. Like I see something like this, I'm like, oh, this would be cool. You could like, I don't know, do something with it, but I don't even know where to begin with that thought. It literally lives and dies as it looks cool. Visually with my eyeballs, I don't know how to make it look cool for a lens. Something like this though, kind of like how the light is hitting right here, and this allegedly has a macro setting, so we'll see how well that works. Oof. That was slow. Give that a try again. I want to see if I can get it from the other side, because I feel like sometimes with the macro stuff, and I could be very wrong about this. Actually, no, because it's a matter of taste, so customer's always right, but I kind of like when the light's hitting through it, if that makes sense. It just has this otherworldly quality to it in my mind. Of course, that's going to look like shit, so I don't know why I'm talking about it. I'm like, trying to speak as though I know what the hell I'm talking about. But something about the light filtering in through here leads me to think that this leaf also might be cool. But I have to remember it's black and white, so it'll probably again look like shit. What I've noticed is the more positive I speak about my photography, the worse it is. So if I downplay it enough, that leaves everyone's expectations to be so dramatically low that when it inevitably comes out right around mediocre, they're like, well, it's not as bad as you might think. I'm like, well, you know, I set my bar so low. The fact that it even came out at all is impressive. Stupid. This green velveting of the tree is lovely, though. It's like a shag carpet. My, had an auntie Adair. I think her name was Adair. But she was a, like, great aunt. It's like one of my grandma's sisters. Just absolutely brutal chain smoker. But she had a pink shag carpet in her house. I remember that quite vividly. And she had this really big tree in her backyard. I remember climbing it when I was a kid, and I took a nap in it. It was probably one of the best naps I've ever had in my life. So this is kind of a mixing of the worlds here for me. Tree with a shag carpet on it. And then there's the fucking window truck in the backdrop. That looks like shit. if I block out that other tree, just kind of get the lighting head on. Gotta remember not to wear a hat when I do this, because with a GoPro, the hat makes it incredibly challenging. Just feel like it's knocking up against it the whole time. A little trick I just figured out though is if you want to get an idea of what shutter speed you're going to be shooting at on auto, you have to press this button in the front, which again is a nice feature. The overall shooting position of this, I think, is quite good. It's something that I've really been enjoying as I've been shooting it. It has a surprisingly ergonomic feel. And I mean, I'm not doing anything insane. I'm literally just ripping it on auto because I can't be bothered. But just the general idea of, you know, checking your shutter speeds, and then something about this though, like that outline there. Turn the macro off. This macro setting is such a joke. There's just that slight ridge of light that I think is exemplified by the moss. And also I think this will be a very interesting study in the drop off here, because if I remember correctly, this is a cumulative meter for light. So I'm curious to see how much of this is picked up as opposed to this. As you can tell, this is significantly darker than it is here. That's kind of cool. I don't even know how to take this where I don't look like a fucking dork. Self-portrait of shadow series. Just fucking made myself gag thinking about that. The houses up here though are very unique as well, which I guess they kind of have to be, because I would not want low or high population density in this area. Like, is not designed for that kind of traffic. And the way that it looks up there in the tree with the moss, and like how it's so brightly lit on one side, is just really visually compelling, I think. I don't know. I keep thinking one of these days, like, I'll get more photo books and like do more studies on like, oh, how to take a good photo and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's the point? I mean, I'm not gonna like ever sell any of my stuff or anything like that. It's just mainly just for fun. So I feel like when you start wanting to try to emulate other photographers or like create similar looks, then it becomes more of like a, what's the word? There's more of an expectation of success. And I kind of like having very, very low expectations for myself. Like, if the camera works, I feel like that's successful enough for me to be content. Anything more than that is just add a little bonus. Check to make sure no one's broken into my car yet. Oh man, it is a beautiful day out though. I'm really, really happy with how it's looking. So I got 5 photos left. I feel like I could take care of the rest of them. Oh shit, that is way overexposed. Okay. There's a little bit of a plane up there. You can see the chemtrail slightly. Just remember, I used to think I was kind of funny. And I would like tag all these like obscure conspiracy theories in, in my photos I post on Instagram. And oh, that did not good things for me. Basically, I just would get all these things. It was like, oh, we live inside a dome. I would just like make some shit up. And I get these comments like, hell yeah, brother. And it's like, oh no, I'm just kidding. Got a lot of interactions though. Okay, so on these last photos, I want to take advantage of the zoom lens that I have. Try to. I don't know if I can actually. It's gonna be quick, but I'm gonna try it. So got into 80 and I'm gonna pull back to 28 as quick as I can. And 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna try that again, but from 28 to 80. That's gonna be jerky and terrible, but I think maybe the first one will be cool. The way to rewind this, easy enough on the bottom. Yeah, that's just hilarious. And I like the little housing it has right here. It's like that goes right there, doesn't move around too much. And then it's this inner line that actually moves as you're winding the film. Yeah, there's a lot of minor things to this camera that I think really make it out to be this really uniquely quality experience. So I got this Contax RTS with my Solagore 28 to 80, mount hood, camera, weird aperture placement or ASA placement, unique shutter speed system, very harsh sunlight, and that is it for the day's video. I'm gonna go back into my car, go hit the grocery store, and then go home and cry myself to sleep. Just kidding. I'm gonna go home and probably do something else with my life. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it as always, and I'll catch you on the next one.